Baker.
Yes, ma'am.
Member Gifford.
Here.
Member Lynn.
Here.
City Administrator Giffen.
Here.
City Attorney Edge.
Here.
All stand for prayer and pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, would anyone in the audience like to speak to council? Stand up, give your name, your address, and address council. Tom? Just give your name and then your address.
My name is Tom Herman. The address would be 609 6th Avenue. Okay. I guess the first thing I want to tell you is the reason I'm here. My wife, who Terry, who's sitting in the back row, is telling me everything I'm supposed to say. So listen to me, but watch her. About a little over a year ago, we purchased the property at 609 in the Central Business District. And when we did that, we did it for the intent of developing the property into a retail space. We were, right away, we met with Anthony, who was the Main Street Director and Coordinator at the time, and sat down with him to go over the whole process for the various CCAP type grants that were available. As it was explained to us, we purchased the property, and after we purchased the property, we applied for the acquisition grant, of which Anthony helped us with that, and we got that filled out, turned in, was reviewed, and it was approved. In the meantime, my wife had her inspectors looking the building over and found that there was some electrical code violations and there were some structural problems. So we immediately took care of those things to the tune of between $2,000 and $3,000. But at the time, Anthony said, oh, well, keep the receipts on that, because when you file for your structural and renovation part of the CCAP, those will be included. So, okay. Now, granted, this is the first time my wife and I have been through something like this, so we told everybody that would listen to us, hold our hands, walk us through this, tell us how we're supposed to do this. And Anthony was great in helping us. The first thing we had to do, he said, was develop drawings, quotes, vendors on what we wanted to do to the building that would have to then go to the architectural committee for approval. And once the Dayton Architectural Committee approved it, they sent it on to the county, so that in turn the county would issue us work permits. This is a copy of that report that we filed with Anthony. Then we got the permits and we started work on the building. When we bought the building, there was 3 apartments in it, and the lease was running up on the what I call the storefront apartment, and so he left so that we could indeed renovate that into retail space. Mark Bryant down at the county was super. He helped us too. I mean, I guess he thought he was dealing with challenged people, because I would just say, what do I do? Tell me what to do and whatever. But anyway, everyone that we worked with was very helpful, from Main Street to Michael at the city, to the fire department, to the county, and in helping us work through this. We started work. In the meantime, you have a Main Street coordinator change. Anthony leaves, Tina comes on board. Introduced herself to us. We tried to bring her up to speed on where we were and what we were doing. And so I think it was in May, the sign company came and erected the sign, which had been approved. And at that point, Tina came down and said, well, you need to file for your uniform signage part of the CPAC grant. We filled that out, sent that in, that was approved, and was the end of that. We continued work on the building. We finished it in late August. Awnings, floors, doors, iron gates, all the pavers, everything that we had in this report. And opened the store in, I guess, early September. And at that time, I sat down and started to fill out the last part of the CCAP grant application, which was the structural renovation portion. Filled it out to the best of my ability, attached all our vendors' receipts, everything that we had done, and turned it in. And now, you gotta understand, by this point, we don't have a Main Street coordinator anymore. So I took it to the city and said, who will take this? And Michael, you were
The lucky soul.
you were the lucky one, so you drew it. I let some time go by, and then gave Michael a call, and I said, is everything in order? Do we need to do anything different? What's going on? And that's when he announces, we can't process this. And I said, why? And he said, because you needed to have this approved before you did the work. And I said, okay, I don't accept this answer, where do I go? And he said, go to the council. So that's why I'm kind of standing here, because we went through this whole process, we asked for help, we did whatever we thought we were supposed to do through the whole process. And let me take you back to last year when we had to do the work as far as the electrical and the structural work. We were told at that point, save those receipts because you're going to need those when you apply for your structural portion of the CPAP grant money. So that's our story. If I said it all right? Okay. And I guess I'm here tonight asking you as the council to take this under consideration and send it back to the city and direct them to go ahead and process our application.
What was the total amount?
The total, I got some information. I think the total,
Well,
there's $11,338 that was submitted with the application, that was completed of work that had been done.
right, but as you and I talked, there are some items in there that
There's
may
some
or may
items
not
that
be
would-
covered, but,
There's some items that would have qualified, and there's other items that could not have qualified. Okay.
So we don't know the total amounts yet.
Well, I mean, I think I went through and checked what qualified, so I could add it up.
I think we're looking at electrical in the range of $3,000, structural in the range of another $500. The front door, which is covered, which was another $800. The fencing, which was
25,
$2,500.
awning too.
Well, the awning's not covered, right?
Yeah, so the way the program is set up, especially for this particular sub-program, is, well, first and foremost, there needed to be the application has to be met with a detailed project proposal. So there needs to be an application submitted with a detailed project proposal. This is what we're going to do. And for this program particularly, needs to be known in advance because there's inspections required by the city, building inspection reports due with the application. So the purpose of this particular program was to have the information approved ahead of time. This is what the projects were, verify that they're approved or not approved projects. Like you said, there's some items on this list that may have been eligible, and there's some items that would not have been eligible. So that was the purpose of the program, is to have a project proposal approved beforehand.
We're gonna take a 5-minute recess.
No, there's nothing to do with you, Tom. He's got a
You can
car
take me to the
issue.
back room.
No, he's got a car issue. Don't mind.
He locked his keys out of his car, and I think
Yeah.
they're trying to help.
And I think that's why you're hearing the noise outside too.
That honking?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
That one paper that we filled out, I thought that's what that meant.
Mike, well, we're in recess.
Would you like some chocolates? Anybody?
I did. Well, don't it sound like? I'm gonna say that and say, the fact is, it's what we wanted to look. And because we wanted two people, it's not just. Yeah. I mean, he's got business up the street, and he's making this look right. It's a credit to the main street, to the hospital, like 3 o'clock this day.
Victory!
Get him? She did have to call his wife.
I didn't have to call what?
I call her.
Say it on TV.
We're back in session.
Okay, so, that was basically the simple part of it, is the CCAP policies, and for that project, or program in particular, there's meant to be a detailed project proposal approved beforehand, and that's what
But
triggered.
it doesn't say that
Okay,
anywhere.
okay, I have an input. First of all, we want the businesses to look like what Mr. Herman has done in our city. They've done everything because we had 2 changes. It's not his problem. And I know all along that he thought he was doing the right thing. So I make a recommendation that we go ahead and pass it. And I'm sorry about the drop paperwork, but that's not his problem. That's my opinion. I don't know how
I get,
other people
where I'm kind of coming from is that we went through this whole process, one after another,
Yeah.
and we did them the same way each time. You know, we had the building acquired, it was not even a contingency in the contract to buy the building, and then applied for the grant, and then the sign was done, erected, put up, and then Tina said, oh, you need to apply for that. At no time where we said, hey, you know, the rest of this stuff I see an awning going up, you know, we weren't told, and we were keeping track as we were going along, knowing full well that we would wind up with either Tina or you or somebody saying, well, these things are covered, and this one thing or these things aren't covered. And I guess I keep coming back to, and I know that it wasn't for CCAP, but we had a complete plan that the city should have, that the architectural committee, right on down to the fabric, the colors, the vendors, the quotes. The only thing we didn't know was the fence people, the gate people, because we couldn't get them, we couldn't get estimates in time, and we were anxious to get moving. The sign, everything. So, I mean, we submitted all this, and I know ignorance is no excuse, but in the back of our mind, we said, well, the city knows what we're doing. Here it is, and then we will do the paperwork at some point.
I guess my question, one of the questions I have, Michael, is this. I think, Tom, you mentioned you had some electrical work done. The place couldn't open up unless they had electrical work done. So, and then the other question I have is, I heard Michael and Tom, you both talking about, we don't know what the total cost is, because some things are covered and some things are not covered. So that'd be my biggest question. How much is the total cost? Not that it,
Right, I understand what you're saying. We threw everything out, figuring hopefully as much of that stuff's gonna stick as possible.
Right.
Okay. As for the electrical, we felt that that had to be done right away.
Right.
Because we had people living in that building.
Right.
And we had, my wife's electrician went through and he had a laundry list of what he considered code violations. And so then at that point, I called Anthony, got him down there, and I think the fire department was there, and okay, you know, we didn't even question the cost. We said, we gotta do these things.
right, and I'm agreeing with you, I'm
So
just
we
saying.
did it, and then the other thing was the structural thing. We had Cole Engineering in there, and then a contractor had come in to put some support in that was missing, you know. And so, as all this is going on, and the dollars are starting to go up, Anthony I think said to you, to my wife, said, oh, don't worry about that. That's gonna be covered, that's structural and that's safety and whatever. Save your receipts.
And I'm agreeing with you, I'm saying,
But
if
that
there
was
was an
done in
electrical
actually
problem, we
2000.
had to get that fixed, because I don't wanna see if there was an electrical problem that caused a fire, and we got
Right.
somebody
Well, that's what we
lost a
said.
life. So, I'm not
We've
disagreeing,
gone,
but
I think we've gone far and beyond. I mean, the fire department came in and merely suggested, because there's 3 units in it in a basement, and just merely suggested that we have synchronized fire alarms. So if a fire happens in one apartment, they go off in the other. And I said to the fire assistant chief or whatever, I said, well, do we need to do? He said, you don't have to do that, I just recommend it. Well, that's all I had said to my wife, because the next thing I know, the electricians are in there, and we didn't include that.
no, I think my biggest concern is what was approved and what, I mean, Michael, you said some things.
Mr. Burns, what's your
Preliminary.
total?
Preliminarily, what I told Tom, and Tom and I had a discussion on the phone yesterday, or the day before, I can't recall. Also in the project guidelines for this particular sub-project is you're only eligible for 2 specific projects. So I took the 2 highest totaled items, and I think that when you take 20% reimbursement off that, it comes back to, again, without totaling it up right now, it's around $700. Tom, I think that's what I told you would be.
Yeah,
You would've been
you said that
possible-
though on the phone, I didn't understand
Yeah,
that.
so it's-
Is that written somewhere?
Yeah, it's 20% reimbursement for 2 approved projects, but again, there wasn't any.
That's in some, written someplace,
Yeah, it's in the project
okay.
guidelines that you should
I
have
didn't
gotten
see
a copy
that.
of when you have. But that's, so, again, it's 2 approved projects. So, again, nothing's been approved. There wasn't any, there's also indications, and look, I'm not trying to knock Tom, what he and his wife have done is obviously a great addition to the community, but from my perspective, when I'm following the guidelines that have been passed, I need to follow, it's black and white to me. There was pre-inspections that needed to be done for the proposed project that was never done. So it was just, it's difficult for the people making the decisions to approve those. Obviously, that's why Tom's here tonight, but
Go back to, what did you say about pre-inspection?
so at a minimum, inspections will be scheduled to take place before a proposed project is approved. So there was no, first of all, there was no proposed project. There was just the receipts for the work done, which looks great, but
And we got.
it's hard for me to
this.
go back and retroactively do it when there wasn't a proposed project, there wasn't inspections done. We don't have a building inspection, which I know he has, but we don't have that, it wasn't submitted. Those are the stuff that's supposed to come before the projects are approved. So, when I get the receipts afterwards, and I was very frank with Tom on the phone before he even turned it in. I said, I'll take a look at it, but, because it's happening after the fact, it's probably gonna be tough to approve, but,
Well,
he
I guess-
wanted to make the case too, and that's fair.
I'm just making the case, given the history of this whole thing, can we reset it and say, you tell me what you need from us or whatever in addition, and at least consider, because your comment to me on the phone, and I understood it, was I can't even consider this thing, right?
Yeah, because it was.
And that's fine, I understand, it's all business. And that's when I said, okay,
What are your options?
what's my options? And he said, come see the council. So I'm here, and I'm pleading my stupidity, but on the other hand, we thought we were doing things the way we were supposed to do them.
Mr. Herman, what do you believe to be the reimbursable amount?
That's one other question I have.
What, he's saying $700, you're saying $6,800. Am I reading that right, sir?
I don't know, I don't think I did. Did you get
But
it?
I just want to know
May I ask
what you
you-
think is the fair number that should be reimbursed.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I was just looking over the fencing issue. We had the permits, they were hanging in the window. We were concerned about the location of the fencing. We even called the city to come down and check to make sure what we were doing was correct. And at that point, they gave us the okay to go ahead and put the fence up.
I
The one
know, but
piece
I-
of paper had the detail of everything that we were doing. We were under the impression, you're good to go. We approve everything you have on this list.
Well, there's a difference between
I know.
getting approved for the BAR and then being approved for certain aspects of
Okay.
of the grant. The fence wouldn't have been covered with
Okay, in
all.
answer to Ben's, or Mr. Baker's question, I would like $1,600. But that's where I'm starting, and he's starting where he
Right,
is.
you're right.
I understand, it's a, if, I got the impression Michael reached a point where he said, I can't even really look at this because of the timing of the whole issue. And I said, okay, understood. There's no sense talking on the phone about it anymore. Where do I go? And he said, come here. And I got the impression that city council would have to say, okay, you're allowed to negotiate, you're allowed to, you tell us what you additionally need, we'll get it for you, and then we would go through the items and Michael might say this, and this isn't covered, this, and this. I understand that. So what that number is, I don't know.
Okay. I think that we would need to know a number.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
When we first started this project too, we were told any improvements made to the property would be covered under the 20% reimbursement, which I checked on the website. It doesn't say anything about 2 or 3 projects. That was kind of all new to us.
I think what's happened here is we've had some changeover in the Main Street administration.
But the program stayed the same.
The program stayed the same, and we really didn't understand the program.
And I think we're to the point where you're at 68, he's at 7. I think that this needs to go to economic development. They need to look this thing over, come back with a recommendation at the next council meeting.
I'd be happy to call an economic development committee meeting to overlook your numbers, our numbers,
And Mr. Baker,
and work with you.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes,
I'm
sir.
gonna put some insight into this, and unfortunately, this is bad news for you, Tom. Because of the way.
Who was the attorney?
Yeah, exactly. Unfortunately, the CCAP program, the guidelines are pretty fair and clear. There's a couple of reasons why what you want to happen can't happen. One, your theory is on a detrimental reliance type of claim with Mr. Caudell without any kind of signed writing under a City of Dayton letterhead to the effect of what you're stating. There's not really much of a claim where you can attach his words to the city as a City of Dayton representation. 2, there's an issue with any kind of reimbursement because the proof that you need for any kind of spending for the city has to be for a public purpose. Public purpose of the spending in CCAP is economic development. Going after the fact and saying that this was for that purpose doesn't incentivize economic development growth. It's just rewarding past actions. Hence, you have a very weak economic development argument when you state a public purpose for the spending. Third, in the city council's position, theirs is to set a budget, the spending lays with the executive authority, essentially, and then that'd be telling the executive authority, which is the mayor, who controls what checks are written when, the exact same thing, that it might produce liability as non-public purpose spending.
What about the other projects that have been involved in this thing? Are they all up to compliance?
The ones that he had filed applications for and that.
No, I'm talking about the other new businesses that came in. Were we gonna have the same issues with them?
Well, no, they should all be filling out the application.
Well, they should be.
Prior to as far, it's very clear in the CPA guidelines that in the process to get the grant is you fill out the application, you get the approval, and then, with all your estimates and stuff, and then you get the approval, you sign the contract, then you come back with the receipts after that, and then you get reimbursed, then a check, the city cuts you a check.
I understand your.
I mean, it's pretty
I
straightforward.
understand your legal point of view, but are the Main Street directors employees of the city?
They are.
Okay.
They were. I mean,
Yeah, well.
Anthony, Mr. Cato was.
The Cato was, and then Tina was, and then he filled in when they're in the gaps.
Right.
We've always had somebody that.
I almost want to ask Mr. Cato, because the whole point of the CCAP was to make it easy to do business in the city of Dayton. And this sounds like.
Well, I guess what I'm coming from is, we did the first one, and we applied after the work was done. We did the second one, we applied after the work was done, and we did the same thing the third time. Don't get me wrong, I understand, I didn't read everything.
And this doesn't foreclose on you, but like if you guys do any other projects there, that doesn't foreclose.
Well, what we
you.
might do is go back and take everything down,
But-
and then apply and put it all back up again.
Well,
That's essentially where we are. I mean,
it's to an extent, that's not gonna be a, proper use, plus Thomas isn't, exactly gonna.
Well, I know.
Exactly go over, tell him to do the same now in that case, but what I'm saying is any other structural improvements you might have, that doesn't foreclose any of those opportunities at this point. You're still not, I mean, if there was some other project that you guys had or came up across, it wouldn't foreclose you from the opportunity to apply, still under the guidelines for it.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not sure, but in that packet, I wasn't understanding where it said we had to apply for the third part when we were filling it out. I didn't understand the whole, where does it say in there that you have to apply first?
Well, I think in the guidelines, it says specifically that you gotta apply first, and Mr. Giffen has a copy, I don't have it right.
Every application must thoroughly fill in a general program application and attach a detailed project proposal. So proposal means this is what I'm gonna do before.
Right.
Where is that?
Page 1.
Oh, we don't even have.
We don't even have that. That's the packet we have.
This stuff. This is what we were getting.
Yeah, that's
That's
the
the
application.
application. That's the,
Okay, that's all we got.
These are the guys, yeah, these are the guys.
yeah. Those are the rules that allow that application.
So they gave us the application, but they didn't give us the rules, right?
I don't know what you were given.
Okay.
We didn't have them.
I don't know for sure what you were given. I can't deny that that's, you know.
The whole packet usually was given out from what I've seen and what I've done. It's all given out at the same time. At the packet, the guidelines, the application, I always give it out as a whole, and that was under the state.
I can certainly understand where you're coming from, understand where we're coming from. We felt like we kind of went to the city administration and said, help us through this thing. And, you know, and the Main Street director is a city employee, and we were saying, help us with this, how do we do this? And, you know, I was all ears. I mean, Mark Bryant down at the county was super. He held my hand for everything, so that everything was done correctly. And so that's why it was a surprise. So,
Mr. Mayor,
yes, sir.
I'm kind of echoing the same thing Ben said. He was obviously trying to get help. He thought he was going to get help from Mr. Cato when he was here. He was told to keep his receipts, all these things, which he did, and bring them back to us. Now he comes back and it's all denied. Then Michael, or Mr. Giffen, comes back and tells him to bring it to council, gets to council, and you're being told by city attorney that that's wrong also because council can't do anything for you. I feel like there's been several times that he's been miscommunicated with, and it shows tonight, obviously, that this isn't going the right direction.
I pointed him in the direction, again, I'm reading off of the black and white, which was it's in the guidelines, and it says that if decisions for granting awards meet these policies, if there are specific and demonstrable reasons for exemption, which would be the responsibility of city council.
But did he get that? And we've been through 2 people.
I mean, I don't
That's
know.
what I don't understand. And they are representative, they're employees of the city, so who's he gonna go to, other than the people he's told to? Just sounds like a lot of communication problems, which I don't think anybody maybe at
Well, I mean,
fault.
but before the application was turned in, I mean, I spoke with Tom on the phone and said,
Okay.
this isn't looking good ahead of time. I mean, the fact that you're turning in an application with receipts, I mean, I helped
But the
draft the
toothpaste was
guidelines.
already out of the tube. So I sent in the application and crossed my fingers, and so thus here we are.
I don't think anybody here blames Tom for at least,
No,
trying and at least coming to talk to us tonight,
It still comes down to, there's some, he corrected some safety issues, and we need to take that, be cognizant of. I mean, if he fixed electrical problems that could have caused a fire, could have caused a death, we gotta think about that. I'm not saying everything, but there's probably some of the things that come under safety. We have to be aware of that.
I think we have to, without Mr. Cato's witness here, I think we have to take into consideration, maybe some of these things were said by a city employee to keep the receipts and then show them.
Right.
And I almost have to give the benefit of the doubt to the fact that we can see the proof is in the pudding, the Main Street, and it looks better.
Like I said, that's what the CCAP was designed for.
Yeah, it wasn't
to do the things that Mr. Herman has done with his building.
We're not gonna encourage people to come in and do businesses here if we don't have our ducks in a row.
Oh, absolutely.
And this looks like they're not in a row right now. We can fix it, but for this situation, it's just not good.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, council. What
Thank
do you
you.
guys want to do? We got.
Thanks for your time.
What can we do?
He's saying there's nothing you can do. I mean, if somebody wants to make a motion, I'm willing to take a motion, but
it would be a toothless motion.
it'd be, yeah, exactly.
If you what?
It'd be a toothless motion. You can't order the mayor to sign a check or to, sign any money away. You can just, all you can do is budget his money.
And then it's the mayor's job as executive authority for the disbursement of money.
So does the mayor and the city administration have the authority to look into this?
I mean, I'm not personally gonna sign off on it. If it doesn't meet the guidelines, I don't feel it meets the guidelines. I'm not signing it. That's just, from my position, I like my
You
job.
can ask.
Well, he's already given his answer, so
Yeah.
he doesn't need to look into it if he's given his answer.
Yeah.
We come down to the mayor's signature on that?
It has to get to me, and if it's not getting to me, I'm not gonna be able to sign it.
I mean,
It
if you
has to
like-
go through the process, it goes to the mayor.
So you're saying the most was 700?
So the structural improvement program allows for 2 approved projects. So what I did was I took his
Two highest?
2 highest projects that were separate, that were improved costs. There was electric improvements to meet code and change use. Now, I would need to verify, because he's got a couple electric projects on here. Some of them specify they were for the rental units or for the whole thing. It has to be specific to the business, so I was just assuming that that had to only do with the commercial, which was one of his highest costs, and I took the next highest cost that was a separate project that I felt was for the commercial unit. And I took 20% of that, and that's how I got to this.
Okay, so. Who bought the building? Did he buy it outright himself or did CCAP?
Yeah, he bought
Mr.
it.
Herman brought it.
Well, he bought it, but he did use the structural
Yes.
improvement
Okay.
program to get the building. Am I correct? You all got structural improvement yet?
Okay.
I almost want to make a motion, but it's not going to go anywhere.
Before you guys make any motions too, I would warn, and I don't have the specific statutory reference here, but there is this statute that says any funds expended that are not for a public purpose, any persons voting for the expenditure or approving or assisting in the expenditure are not only liable under their authority as a city employee, but also a person outside liable. And I'm warning you, I think you're having a hard time with that.
But I think.
Yeah, we're not-
Goes back to what we're talking about, so to make some kind of motion, you may look for some kind of personal or city liability.
Duly noted.
Okay, it's time to move on to the.
I would say this though from now on, let's make sure we're doing this thing right for the next person to come to the door and wanting something, and everything is spelled out to them and put in writing.
It's simple.
Huh?
It's simple.
Yeah,
Step 1, step 2, step 3.
because I'll be honest with you, that application isn't the easiest thing in the world to fill out, that's for sure. And he did mention himself at the beginning that, hey, I need help with this. And I think whoever we put back in this position, and until then, Michael, yourself, I think the job needs to be done correctly. Because I'm like these guys. Did Anthony do his job right? Did Tina do her job right? We don't know.
Right, so
Well, the fact is-
We're hoping that they do their job right because we hired them to do their job.
And how do we know the other ones that came in Main Street
Well, I mean,
are perfect with this?
I mean,
We don't know that.
Anthony and I created the program, and
I know.
I need to defend my staff a little bit. We created the program, and any time that we had people come in that was interested, it was here are the program policies, here's the application. We emailed it in groups. I'm not saying that Tom did or did not get it, but I'm saying that
Right.
the staff that was trained, they knew the program, both Tina and Anthony, so, we always gave everything out as a packet. Whatever happened in this case, I'm not sure, but I just have a hard time, I'm gonna defend my staff here. I mean, we're the ones that put this together, and
We should. But I'm just saying, from now that we have one come forward with this, and we can't do nothing about it.
Well, see, I remember a couple of years ago when we gave permission to put a light on a building and it cost $2,000. I remember that clearly, and I'm going, how can we spend $2,000? And that's why I'm wondering, are there more incidents like this with people that came in? We need to fix this as it is now. But I would be uncomfortable if I was him. What, right or wrong, he went to the right people. And I understand you have to defend your state, but we gotta nice-looking business in our city,
Oh, no,
that
but-
it's gonna be sour grape publicity. That's the way I would look at it. I'd go, dude, hello, Tom, how'd that go? Well, it's pretty hard. I mean, I just feel uncomfortable with the way we just ended up for him, because it's a very nice business, it's a credit to
Oh,
the
no,
community.
no question. And I don't want to take anything away from what they've done. We're glad to have them here, certainly.
Okay. Anyone else in the audience would like to address city council? Okay. Moving on. Appointment to the OKI Regional Council of Government Board of Directors. Joe Neary was on this last year. He does not want to be on it this year. We have to send this in this month, so we can't wait till the new council comes on to appoint somebody. We can appoint from the new council, but we can't. It's got to be a council person who does this thing. It's during the day, and I guess Joe really couldn't get off to go to them. So, but they want somebody on this, and it has to do with Kentucky, Ohio, Indiana, with the roads and all that stuff. So is anyone on council interested in filling this position?
I would, but
It's a day.
my 9 to 5, I wouldn't work well with that.
Anyone over here?
I think they're on Wednesdays.
You guys interested in KOI? Yep.
And I'll nominate
Yep.
Jeff Folter.
Well, it's just an appointment. Don will get you the information when the meetings are and all that. Thank you. Okay, approval of the minutes from the November 1st council meeting.
I make a motion to approve those minutes.
Motion by Mr. Gifford,
I'll second that motion.
second by Mr. Baker. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. First reading of 2016-21, amending the city fine for animals running at large. Tiffany?
City of Dayton, Kentucky, ordinance number 2016-21. An ordinance amending the city fines for animals running at large in accordance with revised interlocal agreement. This ordinance amends the city fines for animals running at large or otherwise not under patrol that enter into the following: Section 91.98 penalty. Section B, violation of any provisions of Chapter 91, Section 91.05 is declared to be a civil offense. Any person violating Section 91.05 shall be fined $85 for a first offense, with $45 of the fine being kept by the county animal shelter for impound expenses, and $100 for a second or greater offense, with $65 of the fine being kept by the county animal shelter for impound expenses. In the event the subject animal is not spayed or neutered, the fine shall be $100 for a first offense, with $45 being kept by the county animal shelter for impound expenses, and $125 for a second or greater offense, with $65 being kept by the county animal shelter for impound expenses. However, in the event that the owner of the subject animal grants permission to the Campbell County Animal Shelter to spay or neuter the subject animal prior to reclaiming the animal, the fine shall be reduced to $85 for a first offense, with $45 of the fine being kept by the county animal shelter for impound expenses, and $100 for a second or greater offense, with $65 of the fine being kept by the county animal shelter for impound expenses.
Yeah, it's a change because of the new interlocal agreement.
This has to do with the interlocal agreement that we're in with 5 other cities in Campbell County. This is the first reading. Second reading, revisions related to the code enforcement.
City of Dayton, Kentucky, 2016 number 19. An ordinance amending city ordinances in compliance with 2016 Kentucky House Bill 422 to include revisions related to code enforcement, nuisances, and establishment of a lien holder notification system. This ordinance revokes the previously enacted nuisances prohibitions as codified in Chapter 99 in the City of Dayton Code of Ordinances and the previously enumerated code enforcement and nuisance board. As replacement, this ordinance pursuant to the authority of KRS 65.8801 through 65.8839 enacts new nuisance laws that prohibit criminal activity, graffiti, environmental issues, litter, garbage, trash, dilapidated housing, or violations of other sections of Dayton Code of Ordinances. The ordinance further enacts procedures for citations, abatement, appeal of violations, a lien holder notification system, and creation of a code enforcement board, all in accordance with 2016 Kentucky House Bill 422. The ordinance also revises various penalty sections throughout the City of Dayton Code of Ordinances to read as follows. Any person, firm, or corporation who violates any provision of this chapter that is a declared civil offense with a civil fine of not less than $250 per violation, but no more than $500 per violation. If the civil fine is uncontested, the amount per violation shall be $250.
I'll make the motion that we accept 2016, number 19.
Motion by member Baker,
Second.
second by member Lynn. Any comments? Roll call vote.
Member Tucker?
Aye.
Member Baker?
Aye.
Member Gifford?
Aye.
Member Lynn?
Aye.
Member Burns?
Aye. So ordered. The next one is second reading for 2016-20 permits for dumpsters. And what this is it used to be like, I believe, 4 days, and it's going to 7 days for dumpsters. That's correct. Go ahead.
City of Dayton, Kentucky, 2016, number 20. An ordinance creating regulations for the issuance of temporary permits for dumpsters and portable storage units. This ordinance creates regulations for the issuance of temporary 7-day permits for dumpsters and portable storage units to be placed in yards, streets, and sidewalks to the application with City Code Enforcement Department. The ordinance sets a fee of $75 for the permit, which to be returned to the applicant at the expiration of the permit if the applicant is in compliance with requirements of this ordinance.
Any motion?
I'll make a motion we accept 2016, number 20.
Motion by member Lynn,
I'll second.
second by member Baker. Roll call vote.
Member Baker?
Aye.
Member Gifford?
No.
Member Lynn?
Aye.
Member Neary? Member Burns?
Aye.
Member Tucker?
Aye.
So ordered. Next on the agenda is order 2016-15, authorizing the city manager to sell or dispose of city-owned surplus property.
City of Dayton, Kentucky, municipal order number 2016, number 15. A municipal order declaring city-owned personal property as surplus and authorizing the city manager to sell or dispose of equipment and displays. Be hereby ordered by the City of Dayton, Kentucky as follows. Section 1. That the City of Dayton, in accordance with the provisions of KRS 82.083, hereby makes the following findings. Section A. That it is in the public interest for the city to declare the following personal property as surplus. 29 Toshiba phones, model DKT 2010 SD. Holiday display to include 6 Christmas figurines. Section B. That the intended purpose of the property described herein at the time of initial purchase was for communication and decor for the holidays. Section C. That this is in the public interest to sell or dispose of the property because each item is outdated and maximum value can only be attained through sale or disposal. Section 2. That this order shall be maintained and indexed in the official order book by the city clerk treasurer.
Need a motion? I need a motion, Council.
I'll make the motion that cities authorized to sell, dispose of owned surplus under 2016, number 15.
Motion by member Baker,
Seconded.
second by member Gifford. Roll call vote.
Member Gifford?
Aye.
Member Lynn?
Aye.
Member Burns?
Aye.
Member Tucker?
Aye.
Member Baker?
Aye.
Next on the agenda is order number 2016, authorizing the mayor to enter into an interlocal agreement to provide animal control services.
City of Dayton, Kentucky, municipal order 2016, number 16. A municipal order authorizing the mayor to enter into an interlocal agreement to provide animal control services.
Need a motion?
I'll make the motion that we authorize the mayor to enter into an interlocal agreement to provide animal control services under 2016, number 16.
Second.
Motion by member Baker, second by member Burns. Comments? Tell them what's going on with this.
This is really, we're just really renewing the interlocal agreement we've already had, it expired. The minor change they made was with the, some of the pricing, which was reflected into the first reading where we amended the fines for animals running at large. But it's, I think the interlocal agreement expired sometime within the year. And the board hadn't been meeting, but now we've met, I think, more in the last 4 months than we've met in the past 4 years. So they've gotten it back up and going. They wanted to update the interlocal agreement. So that's what this is.
Michael, could we also have a report from them on seems like we get that report sometimes.
That was, that came up in one of the meetings. I think other councils have the same concerns, so I think they're gonna start getting that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
Anyone else? Any more comments? Okay. Roll call vote.
Member Lynn?
Aye.
Member Burns?
Aye.
Member Tucker?
Aye.
Member Baker?
Aye.
Member Gifford?
Aye. So ordered. Next is order number 2017, granting the city administrator support to submit for zoning reviews to the Campbell County.
City of Dayton, Kentucky, municipal order number 2016, number 70. A municipal order granting the city administrator support to submit zoning review, modification, or appeal application to Campbell County, Kentucky.
I need a motion.
Make a motion to accept number 2016, number 17.
A motion by member Tucker,
Second.
second by member Lynn. Under comments, Michael Tillman's going.
So this is based on some of our ongoing discussions and I think council's willingness to want to look at finding some additional uses for some of our commercial property that lies outside of our commercial zones. We have been kind of keeping you all updated on some of the meetings we've had with the county throughout the summer, and we've come up with a couple of ideas we'd like to present to the planning commission. But Campbell County wanted us to formally submit an application with approval from council to get the ball rolling. So this just really lends that support. I've got the application and I'll turn it in if approved first thing tomorrow. And we would have trying to get a planning and zoning meeting for January, I think it's 4th, it's the first Wednesday of January, where we would present some of these ideas and have discussion with the planning commission.
Anyone else have any comments on this? I need a roll call vote.
Member Burns?
Aye.
Member Tucker?
Aye.
Member Baker?
Aye.
Member Gifford?
Aye.
Member Lynn?
Aye. So ordered. The only other thing I got is you'll get an email, council, within the next couple of weeks on the new committees once I get it sorted out. That's all I got at this time. City administrator's report.
Got a handicap parking request for 133 4th Avenue. The applicant meets all the requirements as per the city ordinance. I'd like to make a motion to approve 133 4th Avenue for a handicap parking placard.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Gifford,
Second.
second by Mr. Burns. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered.
And then two quick things I didn't have on here. The annual employee Christmas bonus that we do every year, we do have it in the budget for the employees. So I'd like to ask for a motion to approve that to be paid out.
So moved. Second.
Motion by member Lynn, second by member Gifford. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered.
And the last thing I have, this came across today, so I apologize for the lateness, but in last meeting, you all approved the mayor to go enter into a contract for new lighting that's desperately needed in the city building. You all approved that. They came back in to do the final walkthrough, and there were 4 lights that they did not see during their initial walkthrough. I guess they were in areas where they didn't have access, that they were granted access to this time. So I would like to ask for a motion for the mayor to enter into an amended contract. This would add $1,389 to the original amount of $13,038.88. But if you recall, we get about half of that back through Duke Energy reimbursement. So that's for a motion to allow the mayor to enter into an amended contract.
So moved.
Motion by member Gifford,
Second.
second by member Lynn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered.
That's all I have.
All right, thank you. City attorney's report.
Nothing.
All right. Standing committee report. Chief Hatfield.
Just two things. Officer Will Hoyt will be representing the Dayton Police Department. They do a DUI awards banquet every year, which is a period from October 1st, 2015 through September 30th of 2016. Officer Will Hoyt will be representing us, and during that time period, we had 91 DUI arrests. So that was, Officer Powers actually had the most, but he went to Covington, and Officer Will Hoyt won by default. But he'll be representing us, so we had a good tally for that time period. And I'll be going down there with him. Secondly, there's been, I guess, some questions about misdemeanor arrest by police officers. An incident came up where, I guess, a subject saw somebody looking into a car and he confronted those juveniles. There's about 5 of them, and he was assaulted. And he, which is an attempted break-in, which is a misdemeanor, and assault fourth, which is a misdemeanor. If misdemeanors don't happen in the police officer's presence, we cannot arrest for those misdemeanors. There's few misdemeanors we can arrest for, such as DUI, leaving the scene of an accident, domestic violence is misdemeanors we can arrest for outside of our presence. But he was just irate that we couldn't arrest the juveniles because he was assaulted and we couldn't do anything for him at that time. Obviously, we can take reports, do reports. It's up to the person who was a victim to follow forward and file charges against those who violate against them. So I'm just trying to get the information out there. The misdemeanors do take place, and it's not happening in the police officer's presence, such as a simple assault, theft, and things like that. Unless we catch them with the property, we have to go through the processes. So we're just trying to get that out there to the public so they don't feel that we're not doing our job. It's just we're upheld by the laws of what we can and cannot do. So we're trying to do the best we can for our citizens.
And I would note, just to add on, Chief Hatfield, is that when that occurs, and you're absolutely correct, if it's outside the presence, that you guys can take the report and they can go down and file what's called a request for charges. You can't actually, as a citizen, actually file charges. It has to be looked at by a prosecutor who then says yay or nay as the final determination of probable cause and so forth before proceeding with charges. But you file a request and then the prosecutor will decide whether to actually take those charges or not. So just because you get the police report doesn't, that's not the only step involved. There's usually a couple steps. So
I just don't want our citizens to get discouraged that we're not doing. We're just upheld by, what we can do. And then we did hire our 10th officer, Tom Hawks. He used to work with us back in 2004. He's been with Pendleton County for the past 6 years, so he's coming back to us. And so we'll be full staff.
When's he coming on today?
He actually started Monday.
Good. Long waited, full staff.
Long one, yeah. We've been waiting a while for the 10th one. It's just, we got a good group of guys. I'm very picky on who I'm bringing in. It has to be somebody that will work good with the community, will work good with the kids, will work good with other officers. And he matches that. It's probably taken about a 6-month time period to actually find somebody out there that fit what we were looking for. So it was a long process, and but we finally stayed at that. Yeah.
Thank you. Next, we have Chief Autry's off this evening. You got a report from in your packets. Do you have any questions? Captain Hall's here to answer any questions you might have. Anyone have any questions for Captain Hall? All right. Next will be Rich from Light Department, Building Department. Where you want to go?
Well, everybody got my report. The numbers are down as far as, we're working our way through a lot of them that are getting taken care of. Had a lot of appeals this past meeting, but those are going down as well. We're going to have only 4 for next week. And we issued more than $70,000 in citations, and we collected more than $27,000 in citations today. That's it.
I was at the code enforcement meeting 2 weeks ago. Very impressive. It was well run, and everyone's there showing up and fixing the places up, so
A
well
lot
done.
of stuff was fixed.
That's, don't want to find anybody, so well done, sir.
Thank you.
Rich, I ask this question every month, and I'm going to continue to ask it. And I don't know how you're going to address it, but as I read this report, I notice on here, some of these people are deceased, and we're still, I know you're going against the people that the house is in, but these people are deceased. I don't know how you address it. Can we go to the bank, or?
What happens in that case, and the reason that we continue to cite, we're citing who we're required to cite by Kentucky statute. And they add up, and when the bank or whoever takes possession of it goes through the paperwork, they come to our office and ask, how much do we owe?
Okay.
That's why we continue to
Okay,
cite.
that's fine. I just, like I said, I just noticed there's some deceased people on there, and it just,
Yeah, until PVA updates quarterly, and so until PVA updates, I really don't have any other resources.
very good.
And I would also add, Councilmember Burns, unfortunately, a lot of people don't update the property
Right.
records after someone's deceased by actually filing a probate and moving the property, so unfortunately, that's gonna be a problem. It
Yeah,
probably
I
exists
agree.
For forever, essentially.
Do you have anything from the clerk's office?
Yeah, she's in the law
All right.
reports.
Any correspondence? Any correspondence?
No.
Okay. Standing committee reports. Mary's not here. Member Baker.
Nothing to report, sir.
Okay. Member Lynn, finance.
I would just like to, after first year, Michael, if we can't get a meeting scheduled, be taking, to do that. And then by then we'll know who, the new member of the finance committee is.
Public safety, Member Gifford.
Yeah, the only thing I have is it took me a year, I've been working a year, but they have, Brighton Center now has the flag, we talk about the people riding the motorized wheelchairs. Brighton Center has those flags, so whoever the next safety committee person is, I would appreciate they check into it and find out how to get them for Spears Court and other places. It's been a hazard for a few years now, so, and it should go to a lot of cities, not just here, a lot of people that drive.
So all I have to do is ask for a flag, maybe yellow?
Yeah,
Great,
but I've got a contact, I'll send it to you.
appreciate it.
Okay.
Public Works Member Burns.
The only question I have is for Michael, and if you can get with Rick. By next month, I'd like to get a report on all the broken sewer grates that we have in this city, and with that report, what the costs would be to repair and or replace.
Okay.
We need to think about that for upcoming budget, so,
I'll send that over. We have a list, I have put together a list this fall.
okay.
And what we tend to do with these, what we've been doing with some of these broken ones, we've been kind of patching them for now, but what we'd like to do is when we repair, actually create an in-ground drain instead of an above-ground.
There's one
So that
that
the trucks
is
roll
just-
over, which
it's
is
terrible.
terrible, they don't break.
Metal Solutions, I talked to the guy after all of our flooding thing. They can create them, they have what's called a water saw, there's only two in northern Kentucky, and they can make anything that you give them, so you might want to check with them, and they're also in Dayton, Kentucky.
Just come up with some kind of cost.
Yep.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Member Tucker.
Nothing to report.
This time, I'd like to thank the two councilmen that served on council these last 2 years. Thank you both. Enjoyable. Any petitions? Council, any petitions?
I just want to thank these, was he Saturday or Sunday at Let It Be? We had 350 plus kids were served
food and gift and Santa Claus and a very excited reindeer. It was a great event, so thanks to the Civic Club and the fire department and all the volunteers who showed up, participated in that amazing event.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Any unfinished business? Any new business? Any adjournment?
We have an executive session? Cool.
Any adjournment? Any motion?
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Next one by Baker.
Second.
Second by Bill. All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.